Welcome everybody. Hello Yolandi, how are you? Where's my tip jar gone? Alright, welcome to the healing hour. I'm not sure where my tip jar's gone. Why is my tip jar not here? That's not fair. Oh well. Hope everybody's well. Okay, so I'll just talk rubbish for a while. Let other people get on. Today we are going to discuss meditation. So if you have any questions about that, please drop them in the chat. I just want to move some stuff around here. No, I can't do that. Alright, so get settled in, get some hot chocolate. I've got my hot chocolate. If you do want a personal healing, you can always hop over to leewjohnson.com. If you're in South Africa, you can actually go to thehealer.co.za and you can book a healing with me. And if you can't hear me properly, just let me know. I'm just going to turn my volume up, so you should be able to hear me all right. I know there's been some issues with the volume for some reason through OBS. So, how is everybody? Say hello, and I'll know you are here. Let me know who's here, where you're from, and we'll get the discussion started. My beard's all funny today. Alright, so I'm just going to talk about meditation. As I said, if anybody's got any questions, just drop them in the chat. Meditation, from a healing perspective, is actually quite important, a daily meditation practice. The main reason for this, we know meditation reduces stress, helps with insomnia, and things like that, but it also affects the brain and the nervous system, and it all brings everything into balance, really. But as far as working with the vagus nerve for digestion, for your heart rate, for everything in your system, it's fantastic for that. And I'll discuss different types of meditation and different ways you can meditate. But there's one particular one which is quite good for activating the vagus nerve. But we'll get to that just now. I just want to allow people to get onto the chat. Just let me know where you're from and enjoy your hot chocolate. Alright, so a lot of people do have difficulty meditating. There's lots of reasons for that. One is that they feel like, they sit down and start to meditate and their thoughts are just rushing through their head, which is normal for everybody. We all have these crazy thoughts going through our head. Yolandi is from Cape Town. Hello, Yolandi. You're always in the chat, so I know where you're from. So we have these thoughts that keep rushing through our heads, and I think one of the big difficulties when we start meditation, when we start learning meditation, is that we get this idea that we have to quiet our mind and get rid of all these thoughts, and it's not exactly that. You don't quiet, well, you do quiet your mind, but you can't get rid of the thoughts that are rushing through your head. What happens is, with practice and with time, you get used to sort of allowing the thoughts to just keep going. Because what we do is, as the thoughts are rushing through our head, we grab onto one and we think about it for a while, and we create scenarios and imagery and everything else. And then the next one comes along and we do the same with that. So when we are meditating, what we're attempting to do is not hold on to the thought, just let it pass. So each time a thought comes up, you just let it go. A good way to look at this is if you have a book in front of you and you turn a page, you can stop on that page and you can read the words on that page, or you can just look at it and turn the next page, and then turn the next page and turn the next page, and just keep turning the pages in the book. So each page is your thoughts, or a thought. So as a thought comes in, all you do is you don't read the page, you don't focus on the thought. All you do is you just turn the page to the next thought, and you allow the next thought to come in, and then the next thought, and you just let them flow, and just let them go by, and don't focus on anything, on any one particular thing. And it's difficult to begin with, but as I said, with time and practice, it becomes easier and easier. There is one thing that you may notice, is that what happens, and this is often spoken about in mindfulness meditations and vipassana and things like that, as a thought comes up, we have these processes. So a thought comes up and we think about that thing, we create the scenario and the imagery and everything behind it, and then we realize that we have this thought. Once we've realized it, we can then shift it away, move it away, and then come back to our focus. And then the next thought comes along and we take some time, and it's creating visions and images, and we're creating the scenario again, and then we realize that we've got this thought, and again we push it aside. So this process keeps happening over and over again, where we start the thought scenario, we realize that we're having it, and then we move it away and come back to the focus. And over time and practice, what we find is we can just keep repeating this quicker and quicker and quicker. So eventually, as the thought comes along, we instantly recognize it, we instantly push it away, and we instantly come back to the focus. And this can take a millisecond to do. So as the thought comes in, we keep doing this over and over again, and eventually what happens is, it's almost like we don't have any thoughts. We are free of thoughts. Our mind is that clear that we don't have any thoughts, because we're not focusing on a thought and creating scenarios and everything else. So it becomes a lot easier over time. Now, one thing that you might find useful when you sit down and meditate, because usually what we do is we go from this active mundane world, and we instantly sit down, close our eyes, and start to meditate, and the thoughts are rushing and going crazy and everything else. It's because you're taking yourself from this one active state, trying to force yourself into this passive state. There's no intermediary point. So what you can do is do nasal breathing. It's pranayama. And there's various different ways you can do nasal breathing. There's various practices you can do from beginner to advanced. But a really simple one to do is simply just to close off the nostril, take one breath, open that one, close the next nostril, take a breath, and then you can repeat that, or you can open both nostrils, take a breath. Now there's a whole load of reasons why you do nasal breathing. One is that you activate the different sides of the brain through breathing through each nostril. The other, if we go into yoga practices and Hindu practices and some Buddhist practices, we'll talk about the Ida and Pingala. It's the channels that run up and down the central channel, which is Sushumna. And what we do is each of these channels, so you've got Sushumna in the middle, which is the main channel, which carries energy from the root up through to the crown. So we've got this main channel, and then on either side of that we've got Ida and Pingala. And these are really sun and moon. They are taught as being masculine and feminine. They are opposing forces, opposing energies. One's negative, one's positive. And through various practices we learn to actually bring them into union and then go into the state of Shiva. Now, with nasal breathing, what you're doing is you're blocking one nostril off at a time, breathing through the other nostril, which then activates one of the channels, and then the opposite. So you activate one, you work with one, and then you work with the other, and then you work with this one, and then you work with the other again. And that also stimulates the different hemispheres of the brain. Now, why this is a good practice to start with when you sit down to meditate is because it helps you to bring yourself from an active state into a passive state. It brings you into a more balanced state, into a calmer state. And this then, you can use this and then go into a normal normal meditation. Depends what meditation you're doing. If you're just going to do belly breathing, or if you're going to do a specific guided meditation or something like that. But this is kind of that intermediary practice. So you have your active state, you sit down and you do an active sort of meditation, which activates the different hemispheres of the brain, activates the different energy channels, and keeps switching those over. Activating one, activating the other, activating one, activating the other. And that then brings you into a more passive state, and then you can carry on with your meditation. So you can just do that for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then carry on with whatever meditation you were wanting to do. So the easiest way, as I say, is just one nostril at a time. And what you can do is you can block off a nostril like this and like this, or you can actually just put 2 fingers over here, and then you use your thumb on the one side and your ring finger on the other side. What helps is also you can stimulate your third eye at the same time. Sorry, you can't see my face while I'm doing this, can you? So what you're doing, you can stimulate your third eye. You can just give it a rub, or just put some pressure on it. So with these 2 fingers, you're putting pressure onto your third eye, and then you are blocking off a nostril each time. I do want to take us through that quickly. Just want to see, is anybody else here who wants to say hello? Don't be shy. I'm very shy, you shouldn't be shy. Alright, so once you've done this nasal breathing, what you can do is then go into whatever meditation you want to do. Now, a meditation practice should be daily. It's better to do it daily because you keep that flow going, the energy keeps flowing. And you can do it for 5 minutes, you can do it for 10 minutes, you can do it for 20 minutes, you can do it for half an hour. Depends on how much time you actually have that you can actually use for the meditation. Emperor of the North Pole, I'm in Winnipeg, pretty close to the North Pole. Cool. So you see Santa Claus. Just kidding. That's cool. So you can do a meditation, and meditation practice doesn't need to be lengthy. As I said, it can just be a 5-minute or a 10-minute practice. What you might find, doesn't happen to everybody, I do mention this though, is that when you hit the 18-minute mark, it's round about the 18-minute mark, what you might find is you have a sudden awakening. As I said, it doesn't happen to everybody and it doesn't happen every time. But when it does happen, it can be a bit disturbing if you're not sure what's happening. And this awakening is like, it's different each time. You may just see a burst of bright light. It's kind of like your awareness shoots back at you. So you're going into this very, very passive state where you're going into a trance state, and all of a sudden your awareness just comes up and hits you. And it's just a sudden burst. And this can happen from around about the 18-minute point, but it then can happen every 10 minutes after that. So in case that does happen, you know what it is. And then don't even bother about it. A true meditation is really where you are doing nothing and thinking of nothing. It is a state of nothingness, really. So, there's the old tale of the student who went to the master and said, Master, I was meditating and I saw a vision of Buddha. And the Buddha said, okay, that's great, now get rid of it. Because, in a proper meditation, you're not supposed to have any visions or anything like that. So if you do get visions, push them aside, because those are things that shouldn't be there. You're trying to clear the mind. But again, there are all different meditations. And when we use the word meditation in the Western format, it's different to what you would be talking about if you were talking about meditation in the East. So, when it comes to meditation, as we talk about it, there's a lot of different forms of meditation. You can do guided meditations where you are taking a journey, a specific journey to achieve a specific thing or meet a specific spirit or whatever it may be. You can do mindful meditations, and mindful meditations can be a variety of different things. You can use mindfulness when you're eating, when you're drinking, when you're showering, when you're doing the dishes. If you just bring yourself into a mindful state, and that brings about a state of bliss, a state of a trance state. But you can do active meditations, such as yoga, qigong. You can do walking meditations. And walking meditations can get pretty interesting. There's a variety of different walking meditations you can do. You can simply take a walk outside in a park or in a forest or something. And what you're doing is you are becoming mindful of how you're walking and mindful of the path. So we have peripheral vision, but you forget about the peripheral vision, and you focus on the path directly, and you just walk, and you just keep focusing on the path. Another type of walking meditation is where you do it extremely slowly, and you can do this. This is very much a Zen Buddhism type of meditation, where what they do is they usually go around the room. So what you do is you walk very, very slowly, and as you pick your foot up off the floor, it then lifts up. You put the heel down on the floor, followed by the ball of the foot, and then the next foot. So take these very extremely slow steps, but as you're taking the steps, you're mindful of every single movement that happens. Again, that can bring you into a state of meditation, a state of trance, really. So there are a lot of different meditations, and one thing that does come up is using music, using sound. And we can use music and sound quite successfully with meditation. We have various different forms, ancient forms of meditations where we use mantra and chant, which are fantastic. If we use mantras, there's a specific mantra that we may pick and use, and that particular mantra will focus on a particular thing and bring in a particular aspect, particular type of healing or a particular type of manifestation or something like that. So the old ancient Hindu mantras and things like that are very useful, but you can use affirmations. You can just keep repeating the same affirmation, or you can use a single word, love, peace, money, whatever it may be, and you just keep repeating that same word over and over and over again, and it creates a rhythm. And you can change the tone of your voice to bring yourself into that meditative state. But you can use music. If you have difficulty meditating in silence, and a lot of people do, then you can use music, background music, in order to... It can often shut out the noises around you, and that can be quite useful. But there again, you can use the noises around you. Antar Muna is a type of meditation practice where you actually focus on the noises that are around you everywhere. So you may hear a bird, you focus on the bird, and then you move your focus to a different noise somewhere else, maybe further away, and then you bring your focus to a closer noise, and you keep going from noise to noise to noise. But the key here is to not create a scenario or an image of the noise itself. So what happens is a noise comes in, the vibration hits our eardrum, gets transferred to the brain then starts creating an image of what it is. So if it's a bird, you're going to create an image of that bird, you're going to see a vision of it, and you'll probably create a scenario around it. If you hear a car, you're going to create an image of that car. But that's simply the vibrations hitting the eardrum, transferring the message to the brain, and the brain creating this imagery. What you do is with Antar Muna, you hear the sound, say a bird, the vibrations of the sound hit your eardrum and you stop it there. So you are aware of hearing the sound, but you do not create the imagery. It can be quite difficult. I'm not going to lie, it's actually extremely difficult. But with practice, it becomes easier. And it is very good meditation, when you're bouncing around from sound to sound. Alright, don't we have a lot of people on the stream today? Right, well, let's do a meditation anyway. Alright, so what we're going to do the nasal breathing for about 3 to 5 minutes, somewhere around there. And then we're just going to do belly breathing. Belly breathing is really, really simple. As you breathe in, you breathe down to the bottom of your lungs and you let your belly expand. As your belly expands, it kind of drops the diaphragm, and you can then, it's almost like it sucks air in, really. And then when you breathe out, you simply contract the belly and breathe out. Now, what we're going to do is, when you breathe in, you can actually time this and create a ratio breathing. The easiest way to do that, because what you may find is that if you are doing ratio breathing, if you're doing it's also called box breathing. So let's say you're breathing in for 4 minutes, you are holding it for not 4 minutes, that's a long time. Breathing in for a count of 4 or 4 seconds, you are holding it for 2, you're breathing out for 4 and holding it for 2 again, and you keep repeating that process. What you may find is, because you're counting in your head, so as you're breathing in, you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you hold. What you often find is, if you carry on that for like 10 or 15 minutes, the tempo of the counting changes. It may become faster. So what I find useful is just tapping on your lap. So all you do is you just say, that's my lap. You just create a rhythm. Okay? And you just create this rhythm, and you allow this tapping to continue at that same pace, at that same rhythm. And you can use that for your counting. So you breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and then breathe out for 4, etc., etc., etc. Just Yana, hi, how are you? glad you could join us. For anybody who's just joined, we are talking about meditation today because it's a daily meditation practice. Is very good for health and healing for the entire body. It affects your nervous system. It activates your vagus nerve, which is brilliant for your heart, for digestion, for the entire system. It relaxes you. It reduces stress. It brings you out of the fight or flight response. Yana, I've been feeling quite bad lately, feeling like my path is failing me, so I can definitely use this. Yeah, we all go through those. We have those moments when we feel like we're getting nowhere, like nothing we do is actually working. It's just a period to often just sit back and just reflect on where we've been, what we've been doing, and just reflect on that and see where it takes you then. We often talk about it as we kind of progress on a path and it goes up, and then we have this plateau period where nothing happens. So that's plateau period, and sometimes we go back, but that plateau period is where you just reflect. So don't worry if you feel your path is failing you. It's not. It's just a time to just sit back. It's your winter period. So we're talking about meditation today. There we go. Alright, so we're going to just do a quick meditation. I'm going to do about 3 minutes of nasal breathing. Again, if anybody has just hopped on, one of the reasons we do the nasal breathing when we start meditation, it's just a good practice to take you out of an active state into the passive state of practicing the meditation. It just allows you to relax a little bit, brings you back into balance. So the nasal breathing stimulates the two hemispheres of the brain separately, and just brings you into a good state. And then you can carry on with your meditation. So we're going to do about 3 minutes of nasal breathing, and then we'll do about 5-10 minutes of just normal belly breathing. So I'll talk you through it as we go. All right. So with the nasal breathing, put the 2 fingers over here on your third eye, and you don't need to massage. You're just going to create a pressure. And then what you're going to do is with your thumb, you block that side, that nostril. With your ring finger, you block the other nostril. Not both at the same time, you can't breathe. Alright, so just close your eyes, put your fingers on your third eye on your forehead, and then block with your thumb, block your nostril, and breathe in with the other one. Breathe in as much as you can. And then pause and breathe out. Then release the nostril. With your ring finger, block the opposite nostril and do the same. Breathe in. And then breathe out. And then release that nostril and breathe into both nostrils. And out. And then just repeat. So with your thumb, block the nostril, breathe. And out. Release that one and block with your ring finger. Breathe in. And out. Release and breathe with both nostrils. And out. And then just repeat that over and over again. I'll let you know when we're done. Okay, so keep your eyes closed and bring your hand down. And then all we're going to do is just keep breathing and do belly breathing. So as you breathe in, let your belly expand. And then breathe out and let it contract. Breathe in. And out. And just continue with that. And you can put your hand on your belly and feel it moving in and out. You can also put your other hand on your chest so that your chest doesn't expand, just your belly. You can make sure that it's just your belly. And just keep focus on your belly. Expanding and contracting. And if you find that a thought comes along, you realize you're having a thought, just let it go and bring your focus back to your belly, expanding and contracting. As you continue, you're going to find that your breaths become longer. So just breathe in, and then pause, and then breathe out, and pause. And that pause you take between the out breath and the next in breath. Just let it take as long as it needs to. So you breathe out and you pause. And when your body is ready to breathe in again, when it tells you to breathe, then breathe in. So there's no counting. You're just breathing in and out, and you're taking pauses. Normally when we're breathing, we're taking about 15 to 16 breaths per minute. That's when we're breathing just into the chest. As you meditate, you're going to relax more and more. Your nervous system is going to relax. And your breath becomes longer, and you may only take 6 breaths per minute. You may come down to even 2 breaths per minute. Okay, now we're going to change things slightly. We're going to do a 2-1 breath. With this, we breathe in for a particular count, and then we double that up. And we pause just for a second, and then we breathe out for that double time. So if you find that you breathe in for a count of 4, then you take a quick pause, and then you breathe out for a count of 8, and then a quick pause and repeat that. So breathe in for 4, and then out for 8. And then pause and in for 4. Pause 8. And just keep repeating that. So in for 4, out for 8. And what this does, as we breathe in, our heart rate actually goes faster. As we breathe out, it goes slower. So this helps to regulate the heartbeat also, and it helps us to bring our nervous system into a better, more relaxed state. So we breathe in for 4, pause, breathe out for 8. Pause, breathe in for 4, and just keep repeating that. This also activates the vagus nerve. Just keep repeating. In for 4, out for 8. Okay, so now we're going to stop. Just bring yourself back. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, open your eyes. Just Yana said it's been hard to focus lately, so I'm going to stop at this point. It's fine. It's, as focus meditation is very different to other types of meditation. If you're doing mindfulness meditation, it's very different to that actually. With focus meditation, what you're trying to do is actually focus on one particular thing and stop everything else, which sounds the same as mindful meditation, but it's a bit different. When mindful meditation, what you're doing is you're realizing that your thoughts are coming up, and you become mindful of that, and you just push them aside and come back to something, whether it's your breathing, whether it's the breath going in your nostrils and out your nostrils. Wait, does sending a message give a notification? I'm sorry if I caused it to stop. No, it's fine, don't worry about that. I don't want to carry these meditations on for too long. It's just to let it get everybody on the same page, and you can go off and do meditation by yourself. We all find it difficult to do meditation, and that's why you might want to try different types of meditation. If you do mantra, for instance, you're focusing on a sound, and for a lot of people it becomes a lot easier to do that. A lot of people prefer to do guided meditations because they are visually active in that process. And that kind of shuts out everything else. But just the fact that you are sitting and you are allowing yourself to relax and bringing yourself out of that stressed state, whether you're finding it difficult to focus or not, it really doesn't matter. You are allowing yourself to just stop and relax, and that's what counts the most. That's what counts the most for healing. I really have to focus myself on meditation at this point, but I keep falling half asleep. That's fine also. It's hard to start as well, since my motivation to practice my path has dropped sadly. Got to push though. Yeah, I go through that still, and I've been practicing for almost 30 years now, and I still go through those phases. I'm going through one of those myself at the moment, and you may find that it's actually got to do with responses to the planets and things like that. They have an influence on us, and they bring us into states where we just don't feel motivated, and that's fine. If you are going through a period where you are not motivated, don't meditate. Instead of meditating, just sit. That's all you need to do, is just sit. Just sit quietly for 5 or 10 minutes. Don't actively go into a meditation practice, if that makes sense. Don't light your candles and light your incense and sit down with your legs crossed and with the intention of actually meditating. Just sit on the couch and just sit there quietly for 5 to 10 minutes. And it's the same process. We do practice meditation where we do sit in a cross-legged position or something like that, and you don't need to sit in a cross-legged position. You can just sit in a chair, and we may do a ritual around our meditation practice, which the ritual itself is the process that we take, because we are going to bring ourselves from that active mundane world into this passive state. So we create a ritual, and that ritual may be lighting a candle, lighting some incense, sitting in cross-legged position in a particular spot. And the other thing with sitting in the same spot every time is that you create an energy which is imbued with that intention of the practice and the meditation itself. So when you do go and sit in that spot, you do feel like you want to meditate. But as I was saying earlier, when you bring in yourself from this active mundane state, this active world, and you go straight from that straight into this passive state. So you just, you've been active, you sit down, you light your candle and your incense, whatever you're doing for that ritual section, and then you decide, that's it, I'm meditating now. You kind of pull yourself from this active straight into this passive state. There's no transition period. So with the nasal breathing, the nasal breathing activates each hemisphere of the brain separately. So it brings you into a calmer state, and then you can do your meditation. So just allow yourself to have that transition period also. If you just go straight from the active straight into the passive, you're going to fight. Your brain's going to fight you. And that's what becomes difficult. Igor, hello from Brazil. I love your videos. Hello. Nice to have you here, and thank you. Got everybody here today. We've got Brazil. We've got the North Pole, and we've got Cape Town. Yeah, cool. I like that. All right. So let's see. Where have we gone? We have gone through nasal breathing, we've gone through belly breathing, we've gone through the 2-1 breath. The 2-1 breath is actually very useful. Jan is from Belgium. Lovely. The 2-1 breath is very useful. It does activate the vagus nerve. If you go have a look at, go have a quick read about the vagus nerve, it's actually quite an important part of the system. It regulates a lot of the organs, really. And where was I going with this now? Oh, my brain's gone. Oh yeah, and there are other ways to activate the vagus nerve. You can do singing, humming, chanting, do yoga, and another way is laughter. Laughter is very uplifting. But what we find is in ye olde days, when we were hunting and gathering, we had those moments where we may have been chased by an animal, and that gives us the flight or fight response. So what we have now, we don't get chased by tigers or anything like that, but what we have now is we have deadlines, and we have work, and we have stress. And both of those things, whether you're being chased by a tiger or whether you have a deadline that you have to meet and it creates stress, both of them create stress. So we're living in this world of stress, and it doesn't matter, the brain doesn't differentiate between the two. So if you are in a very stressful job or a very stressful relationship or whatever it is, you are in a constant fight or flight response mode. So we want to bring ourselves into a rest and digest mode, and we do that through meditation, and that helps us to heal our bodies. Oh no, deadlines, my greatest fear. Deadlines are horrible, they really are, and they are extremely stressful. A lot of people thrive on it, they thrive on stress. Although I say that, I used to say I thrive on stress. I love deadlines. I love to know there's a mark there, and I've got to meet that mark. It gets me going, and it gets me moving, and it gets the adrenaline going. But that is a state of stress. Your body is stressed. You are in a fight or flight response, and over time, if that's constant, that becomes detrimental to your health. So even if you do thrive on stress, you've still got to take moments where you do bring yourself out of that response and you bring yourself into the rest and digest response or rest and digest mode, so that you can actually allow your body to recuperate and heal. And a lot of people will say, well, that's fine, I sleep, and that's when I recoup. The problem there is, the more stressed you are, the less you sleep. And then we start taking tablets to get to sleep and keep us asleep, and that just creates more harm to the body. But often, if we're in a stressed state and we do sleep, we are not really going into a proper deep sleep where we are properly repairing the body during those periods. So we then have to consciously do something which allows us to come back into this rest and digest mode, and that is meditation. It's the easiest way to do it, but as I said, it doesn't need to be sitting down and clearing the mind of all thoughts. It can be chanting a mantra, it can be doing yoga, it can be doing qigong or tai chi or falun dafa or whatever it is. You can go for a walk, and with that walk you can do a walking, moving meditation. You can listen to calming music in the background. If you prefer to listen to heavy metal in the background, I'm the kind of person who kind of relaxes with, I'm more of an industrial rock, Nine Inch Nails type of person. But a lot of people find that they do relax with heavy metal and things like that. I have been questioning that for a while. We may find that we get relaxed, but if you actually look into Dr. Emoto, what was his name? I've forgotten his first name, but Emoto, who did the experiments with water, and he spoke particular words to a glass of water, and then he froze it, and he, through a microscope, he looked at the crystals, and they formed in different patterns. So love would form in this beautiful pattern, whereas hate would form in this horrible, broken, destructive type of pattern. And what he found was, if classical music was played to the water, it was the same as a positive response, whereas metal actually had a negative response. So even if we do feel like we are relaxing with heavy music, it may actually be affecting the water content, the cells in our actual body, in a negative way. So if you are going to take the time to do a meditation with music, I would suggest something more calming. It's, get some meditation music or play some classical music or something like that. Just as long as it doesn't put you on edge, because it may affect the cells properly, but if it's going to put you on edge, that's just going to throw everything off balance. Just Yana, stress stage is my usual state. Luckily, I have medication for it. I find that with both this and meditation, it can help. Yeah. Music makes me feel so powerful, and I get such intense feelings, but I usually choose meditation music on YouTube. Yeah. What you can also do is find some chanting. I find myself that I just love chanting. If it's Tibetan chanting, or I'm not particularly fond of Gregorian myself. It's nice, but just gets a bit irritating. But Tibetan chanting, and especially if it's something like overtoning or something like that, I love it. There is actually, let me just find it. If you're on Spotify, there's a podcast channel. They uploaded different music, and it's focused on the solfeggio frequencies. It's in podcasts, not in albums. It's just taking a while. Yolandi said Bach and Strauss is great for me to relax. Bach, I love Bach, especially the cello concertos. It's called Miracle Frequency Music. If you go onto Spotify, have a look for that. As I said, it's under podcasts, but they've got various different it's music, but it's got the solfeggio frequency in the background. So they've got one for 741 hertz, which is for removing negative energy and cleanse aura. They've got a 528 hertz, which is frequency for positive energy. They've got the 428, which is healing meditation. So they've got all these different. They've got one 999.9 hertz, which is sleep music. So they've got all this music with the solfeggio frequencies in the background, which is, I find it great. It really is. Igor Lee, I have a question. The guided meditations from Satan and Sons channel are good, or it's something personal? No, they are great. I've actually got some myself on this channel. If you go into Enchanting playlist, I've done it for the 9 demonic kings, or divine divinities, yeah, the 9. I've got one for each, but they are brilliant. Especially if you want to actually meditate specifically for the energy of that particular demon. It's great. It actually brings the energy through. I love them. I think they're fantastic, and the ones on Satan and Sons are brilliant. Yana, I've been wondering whether we could use pop music in magic to get us in the mood. You can definitely use any type of music, and it obviously depends on what type of magic you're doing. If you actually need to get your energy into a particularly active state, you can actually use active music. Remember that music is a vibration, and that vibration affects us. And it doesn't just hit the eardrum and go to the brain. The music is a vibration which actually hits the body, and it hits the cells. So, and because our body is made up of, what is it? I always forget the percentage, 80%, 90%, something like that, of water, of liquid. The vibration from music affects the cells. And through that, we can actually do manifestation work just with music. We can use music to affect the energy that our body actually creates or emits, the patterns that we have actually created. Because we have these patterns which we actually fall into, especially early on in life. If you were raised in a family which is particularly poor, it creates this pattern, and it's very difficult to break out of that pattern. But that pattern is an energy formation, and so if we want to break out of that pattern, we need to affect and change the energy. And so we can do that with music. So music is fantastic. Oh look, the hour's almost up. Hello Deborah, how you doing? But music's brilliant. I love music. I love sound. I like using sound in all of my meditations and my magic and everything. You'll probably notice that I use a lot of sound in here. I'll use humming, I'll use vibration, I'll use singing, spontaneous singing, which I spoke about a few weeks back on the channel. So sound, absolutely love sound. I'm a big fan of sound. Alright, so we are coming to the end of the hour. If you would like to get a personal healing, you can go to leewjohnson.com, or if you're in South Africa, you can go to thehealer.co.za. The links are in the description of this stream. Viv, hi, how are you? What are your thoughts on binaural beats and specific Hertz music? Fantastic. I was just saying now, there's a podcast, now I've forgotten the name of it. A podcast I've found on Spotify called Miracle Frequency Music, and they actually have music. And I mean, each one's like an hour or two long. It's like one that's 2 hours and 39 minutes. So it's not short pieces. It goes on for a long time. But each one has a solfeggio frequency in the background. And if he was asking about Igor, you were asking about the guided meditations from Satan and Sons. The ones I've done, which you'll find in the Enchanting playlist, they are for Lucifer, Fleurius, Leviathan, Belial, etc., the 9. I actually do, it's a theta wave using not binaural beats, solfeggio frequencies in the background of that, together with meditation music, and then the chanting itself, to get you into a theta state for the meditation purposes. Alright, so that's the hour up. Thanks for joining me, everybody. And I will see you next in 2 weeks' time. This is every 2 weeks, so I'll see you then. And I hope you have a fantastic time. And practice your meditation daily. Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, just practice your meditation. Go through the nasal breathing for a couple of minutes and then carry on with your meditation. Great stream, Lee. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Great stream. Have a good one. You too, Yana. Alright, so I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Or on Friday or on Tuesday. I'm always here. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.